Thank you so much for joining us today. You know us as Mainline Executive Coaching, ACT. If you are listening to our pods that we do, these podcasts, we're going to be discussing product that we offer to the people, group leadership development and coaching journey. And I'm here today, my partner, Rich Baron. I'm Maikel Bailey, and we are grateful that you're here as well today. Let's just start out this off, Rich, by talking about leadership, and who this is going to be best for. If you are a leader that is, think you got it all together, you got it all handled, this is stuff that you do and you don't need any help, this is not going to help you. This will not be something that you might as well click off now. However, if you are a leader, three types of leaders this is really focused on. Number one, if you're a leader that's doing well already, you already got things handled, your teams are going great, but you recognize you got to keep that edge going. You want to take it up to the next level. What more can you do? What more can you learn? How many more skills can you apply? This is for you. Number two, if you are a leader that's doing okay, but you're not doing great, and you want to improve yourself, and you know you got to do some things to change things up because you're not keeping up to the way you'd like, your teams aren't quite there where you'd like them to be, this also is for you. And three, if you are struggling as a leader, if you are just know that you're in deep kimchi, and if you don't do something soon and something fast, this is for you as well. So you're coming to it, you want to learn more, you want to grow more. We're going to show you some great stuff, give you some great opportunities here, give you some great insights about what's going on with leaders and leadership throughout the entire globe, in fact. Rich, anything you want to add as we start taking off here?
I believe that this is something that if you know someone as well that is struggling with their leadership abilities, even with your organization, this is a great way to help them get back on track.
Excellent point. Thank you so much. We've got our agenda here that you're taking a look at. If you'd like to get this slide deck from us, contact us. We'll give you our contact information at the end of this. We'll be glad to send this out to you. This is what we're going to be doing. We don't need to go through it. You can see it right there before your face. And let's just go to the next slide. Future of leadership. Well, in a nutshell here, leadership is having a bad time. They are struggling. 75% of the world's leaders are failing. We're talking, this is globally. We're talking, this is over years and years and years. The highest turnover in businesses today is leadership. So it's a struggle here. Question is, as you take a look at what you're going through and other leaders in your organization, the struggles that they are going through, what's it costing you? What's it costing those leaders? What's it costing your organization? What's happening because you don't know what to do? But lots of times we think we know what to do, but in fact, if we already knew what to do, we'd already be doing it. So what's going on here? Let's talk about our offer here, Rich.
Our offer essentially is to get you involved in a group program that will walk you through the results of an assessment we're gonna talk about a little bit later on, but also the ability to network with some of these people that we've had in our classes. We have everybody from emerging leaders to CEOs, seasoned CEOs, that have gone through this course, come back to this course, and are recommending others to take this course. Simply put, if you realize that the last 3 years have made a huge dent in business, in leadership, and how we need to lead organizations, then you understand that 2024 is coming. And if that's in the last 3 years are any indication of the future, it is time to really put those excuses aside and focus on what needs to be done for the future of organizations globally and leaders.
This invitation of this offer that we have for you, let's hit some key points here. You're going to discover your unique gifts, powers, and contributions as a leader. Many people don't understand what they really are. They may think they do, but they really, really don't. If you don't know what they are, how do you really maximize them? We're going to help you have this unshakable confidence that we talk about in leaders. It's an incredible thing that people realize I don't have the confidence, but what if it was really, if I could get it to that next level? We're going to show you how to get it to that next level and way beyond that unshakable confidence. We're also going to show you key leadership styles that are necessary for your success. We're going to introduce to you the idea of a powerful leader playbook. We're going to show you how to conquer your fears. We're going to show you how to eliminate those limiting beliefs that hold you back. And we're going to show you how the opportunity with this journey, you're going to have the opportunity to learn from other leaders. People have been there, done these things. It's a great synergistic group that happens there. So it's a very exciting kind of offer. If you're looking for some help, if you know you need some help, if you know you got to do something different, this is something you must consider seriously to see if this is the thing for you. What do great leaders do? Let's take a look at this. What's the mystery of how great leaders lead? Do they do it by a sense of consensus, by strategies and big actions, by examples and setting a standard, saying, here's where we got to go, motivation and encouragement, big creative problem solving? Is that what they do? Is that by they're just really good at that? By goals, plans, and results. This is where you got to get to. Research, deliberation, planning, by vision, connection. How do they do that? And that's the interesting thing. Rich, they do all of them, don't they?
They do all of it. And here's the thing. If you look back in time and think of these great leaders that you want to emulate or that you admire all through time, they all have one thing in common, and that's they have a solid foundation of leadership skills that have stood the test of time. That's one of the things that great leaders do. They have a solid foundation of skills and talents, and that they can utilize at any time.
That's exactly right. They have that solid sense of this is what I can do. And even before that, they know who it is they are. So let's go back from the skills, let's go back to the fundamentals of what kind of leader are you? Most leaders think they know, but as we find out, as we give them this survey that we'll be talking about here, most times they do not. So are you a people person? Are you a driver? Are you a visionary? How about you perhaps maybe consider yourself a diplomat or a motivator, a problem solver, a team player? What kind of leader are you really? And if you don't know how to do that, and you don't know your natural talent, your natural skills here, you're gonna struggle. You're really gonna have a hard time keeping your head above water because you're just not certain. And that goes back to that whole thing again: unshakable confidence in yourself, and unshakable confidence in your skills and what you can do and the results that you can create. Let me ask you a question. If you do not have that unshakable confidence in yourself and in your skills, what's it costing you? What's it costing you not to change that? What's it costing you not to not know how to change it or what exactly to change? Because again, 75% of the world's leaders are struggling. They are just having a difficult time. Chances are you are in that 75%. Rich?
The one of the interesting things, Michael, is a lot of these assessments that people take peg you as a particular type of leader. And in a lot of ways, they don't, well, in almost every way, it doesn't tell you how you got there or what skills and talents that you have or where your gaps lie. So often we have people coming to us after we do our assessment thing saying, I had no idea. I thought I was somebody completely different. And that being said, they've spent a lot of time trying to develop something that really did not help their overall skills and talents and address their gaps. And once they find out what type of leadership styles they truly have, that's where you see, people really starting to develop themselves when they understand what it is that I have to focus on.
So how does this show up, this lack of confidence, certainty, clarity about your skills as a leader and who you are as a leader? How does it actually show up in the world? Well, here's some startling statistics. 83% of companies say leadership development is crucial, yet 5% actually implement any kind of leadership development training. Now, that's an interesting gap. If organizations, corporations and businesses recognize there's a problem, but they don't do anything about it, Rich, what kind of leaders do we have?
We have leaders who are struggling, who are floundering, who are, overstressed, overworked. And it's no wonder that leadership is the biggest concern as far as employee retention.
These people in these leadership positions are actually the ones that are making the situation worse.
Absolutely.
And they don't even realize it. That's the thing. 77% of organizations say leadership is lacking. Well, there you go. Right there. There's a sense of lack of self-awareness, you might say. 85% of CEOs recognize the need to develop next generation leaders, yet only 11% of HR departments feel that they have a strong bench of developing leaders. Same thing, same story. 50% of organizations lack sufficient leadership talent. 47% predict a shortage. Here it is. It comes back to you again and again. Leaders in organizations, what are you thinking? What's going on here? 63% of millennials don't believe they're getting coached and trained for leadership positions. And here we have the killer. This is the killer and the kicker. Let's talk about this one just for a moment here. Leaders, pay attention here. This is what's going on in your organization. Rich, talk about this last point here.
You know, this is based on global leadership development. And we find out that most leaders get their first position where they're required to lead other people between the ages of 28 to 32. But if you look at where they first start their leadership training, the average age is 43 years old. And this isn't just with individuals, this is organizations as well, providing that leadership training for people in their organization. That's more than a decade of these people that are struggling. They get burned out. We see so much stress. We see continued development of toxic bosses, that toxic leadership legacy. 75% of the world out there, leaders out there only have one style, one leadership style to follow on. And generally speaking, that is do what I say when I say to do it.
Exactly.
They don't know how else to do it. And so you find so many of these emerging leaders in that, 30 age group that are quitting. They're washing out. They're done.
Leadership training not provided until 43. That person's 43 years old. If then, I will add to it, that's no guarantee when you reach 43 that you're going to get it. You still may not even get it. You may not ever get it. Breakdown of leaders' performance. This is here we have these categories. We've been referring to this. Rich was just talking about 75% that fail. They struggle, they are stressed, and they fear being exposed. Here's what's going on with these poor folks. They operate out of one or two leadership styles. And often, as Rich said, it's just do it because I said so. Why are they doing that? Because their boss above them said, do it because I said so. What do they say? Because a boss above them said, do it because I said so. That's not leadership. That's more like a circus act, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah, that's a cycle that has to be broken.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that group over here, 20% rated pretty good. They get around pretty easily. That is, they can maneuver, they can shift from one style to the other pretty seamlessly, pretty good. And they've got three styles. I'll bet you right now, Rich, that there are people that are watching this. If we were to say, write down your three styles of leadership, they couldn't do it. Write down any style of leadership that you have. Most of them couldn't even say, this is what it is I do. But that 20% has really targeted that and knows their leadership styles well. So their teams see them as competent, agile, approachable. They are in charge. They're doing pretty good. Now let's take a look at the ones that are really outstanding. The ones that are like the super performers. 5% rated outstanding. They have presence, they have confidence, they have authenticity, and they have a sense of connection with others, and they have a sense of command. These people operate out of 4 to 6 leader styles. What do you think about that? What is it about this group here? The magic people, you might say, the magic leaders.
These are the ones who have truly taken the time to find out first where their skills and gaps were at, and then started to develop those talents accordingly. The problem is like you said, we get so many people coming to us, and what's the first thing they say? It's just like we hear this in interviews. Well, I'm a people person. I'm a great people person. So what does that mean exactly? And that's the problem, is no one understands what that means. because leadership is all about leading people. But how do you do that? When do you do that? What methods can you use at any particular time? This 5% has gone through some sort of deep leadership development process. And I'm not talking about a marathon seminar based on we're going to learn how to be good communicators this week. And I guarantee that's not how these people got their skills.
That's absolutely true. This is not a quick fix kind of thing. And that's one of the reasons that leadership is failing, is that people at the top, leadership at the top, wants to have a quick fix. It doesn't work that way. Human beings don't work that way. Let's take a little closer look in our next slide here. What does that mean they only have one or two leadership styles? Well, imagine this. Imagine if you were a baseball pitcher and you only could throw one kind of pitch. Imagine if you were a basketball player and you only knew one way to get the ball through the hoop. Imagine if you were a football coach, you're head of a football team, and you only had one play for your team. Imagine if you wanted to be a master chess man or woman, but you only had one kind of strategy to win at chess. How about NASCAR? One way to win, just drive fast. What if you're a tennis player? You see, on and on and on. Each of these different kinds of sports, these different kinds of competitions, if you only know how to drive the ball, but you don't know how to get out of the sand trap, only know how to shoot the pool ball, but you don't know how to bank the shots. What are your chances of winning? That's exactly where leaders are today. 75%. They have one play, maybe two, but beyond that, they're not going to make it. They can't make it. Rich, why can't they make it with just one or two plays?
Because it's not sufficient enough in today's world, business world. Just like in baseball, you throw two pitches and pretty soon, within a batter or two, they've caught on to what you're doing. I guarantee you, in each one of those things you mentioned, Michael, there's one common denominator. And that's the fact that they had a coach who could take their current skill set, their current abilities, and turn that into future success by helping them understand where they were currently and giving them the tools to move forward.
Exactly. Know your strengths, build on those strengths, make those strengths mighty, and then expand out. That's the key. And that's what we're going to show you how to do. We're going to help you do exactly that. If you're uncertain about, again, your natural gifts, your natural skills, you can't be confident. Let's get that confidence so that it is unshakable. And then let's expand it out and show you many other ways that you can lead that are natural to you, that will grow you, that will grow your team and make you as a leader unstoppable, and in turn, make your team unstoppable. Let's take a look at this very specific kind of thing when it comes to leaders. Let's go to the next one here. What you see here are basically 5 different leadership styles. We don't talk about quite the way they're talking about here, but this is good enough. Are you, and I'd like you to take a look at this, leaders, are you the kind of strategic leader that is forceful? Well, 16%, again, I'm going to have Rich give you the background of this study here in just a minute. 16% say that they are, as assessed by their coworkers. A strategic leader that is enabling. In other words, I like to help people. I like to coach people. Are you, when it comes to implementation, the operational, are you a driver? You're a forceful person to get it done. Or you're more of an enabling coaching person. Let's get it done this way. You see, there's these 4 different styles: strategic, operational, forceful, enabling. There they are. You probably can recognize who you might be and some of the people that you work with. But the key thing to notice here is right there in the circle, the versatile, the versatility skill, who can use all of these, only 9%. Only 9%. What about that, Rich? 9%?
This is one of the most fascinating surveys and studies that was done. And it was done by Kaiser Leadership Solutions. What they did is over the course of about 6 years, with a tool that they developed, a 360 tool, that looked at 24,000 leaders. They had people that there were their stakeholders, their shareholders, people that answered to them, and they gave them this survey on each of these 24,000 leaders. When it came back, the results were very clear that only 9% of those 24,000 leaders had the versatility and timing required to seamlessly and effectively move through different situations and using different leadership styles that particular situation called for. That means that almost 22,000 do not have the versatility or timing to be truly effective.
And as you watch this video here, folks, leaders, how many of you are in that 9%? Chances are you're not. Chances are you're not. You may be okay. You may be doing some things all right, but 91% are not in that place. So is it likely you could use some different kinds of training and help and coaching and development in that kind of area? The answer is yes, if you take a look at it honestly. So burnout, we talked about this before, burnout state of 75%. 75%, there's something wrong. And the approach to solving this problem, it's not working. Whatever it is that organizations are doing, it is not working. You can say what you want, you can believe what you want. But really and truly, when it gets down to a new method of training and coaching leaders is necessary. It's absolutely necessary to lead teams successfully. This is something that can't continue. We cannot continue at this level. We must do something. And if we don't do something, is it going to change, Rich?
Absolutely not. It's not going to change. And there's a lot of problems in organizations that will never change. Those toxic bosses, leaving that toxic legacy for the people behind them. If you look at some other surveys, 3 out of 4 people out there report that they work for a toxic boss. That's that 75% of those leaders that are struggling and resort to that one type of style, which more often than not turns it into a toxic situation. And even worse, Michael, culture is a top-down function. So if you've got a problem with toxic leaders in your organization, you can follow that trail all the way to the top. And I guarantee you've got a toxic culture going on.
Absolutely. And the cost
to the
people,
yeah.
to the employees, to the leaders, to the organization. We're going to cover some of this stuff here in just a few minutes, folks. We're going to talk about ROI. What's the ROI? Getting your people that are leaders in your organization into this training. We're going to show that to you because you understand what it is it's costing you now. You may not like it, you may not want to look at it, but you got to look at it. You got to see it for the truth. All right. A revolutionary approach to leadership development. We all agree that you can't keep doing it the same way that it's been done before. You keep doing what you've always done the way you've always done it and expect different results. That's just insanity, right? That's just insanity. First off, you must discover your leader talents in yourself and in your team and in each individual. You got to know where it is. You got to know where the talent is. Next thing, you got to figure out where's the level of maturity with your leaders. Again, it goes back to confidence. Once again, it's confidence. It is talent plus confidence. And then you take those two things and then you show them how to map out their leaders' styles. We help you create what we call your leader maps. We'll show those to you in just a moment. And then out of those leader maps, you've got to develop a leader playbook. Any team has a playbook. Anybody who is a pro, whether they're a golfer, a chess player, a tennis player, whatever, they have got a playbook. They know what to do in every kind of situation. And then finally, this leader matrix. This is where the magic is missing in every single corporation. I won't say everyone, but almost all of them, because they do not know how to develop leaders, recognize emerging leaders, help them develop, nurture them along to become great leaders in their organization. This is the revolutionary approach. Anything you want to add to this, your and my approach to developing leaders?
This goes back to what we talk about, Michael, that prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. You can't start partway down the path and expect to automatically know everything that you skipped out on. That's why you have to understand where your leadership styles are, where your entry point is. And as equally or more important than that is what's your maturity level? So often we find these people that are so skilled in different areas, but their confidence is in the dumps. And that could have been for various reasons, even from toxic bosses in the past. The point is there is a specific set of rules and how to follow those rules to get to a certain point. You cannot skip ahead. You cannot skip steps. In order to make sure you get everything and get to the end where you want to be, you have to follow the path from start to end.
Exactly. Let's go to this next one, get a little bit more detailed what we're talking about here. There is an approach that we have developed. It is an approach that it is not formulaic. It is not a recipe. It is an approach, and it starts with this MLEI. Rich is going to tell you a little bit more about that. And it's a unique leadership assessment. It's going to help you see clearly your leadership talents. It's going to show you clearly your levels of confidence in each one of those leadership talents. It's going to show you your strengths, your derailers, and your gaps. We're going to find out what's great about you. We're going to find out what's not so great. We're going to find out what's really messing you up. You want to be a great leader, but you don't know what's going wrong. We're going to show it to you. And then we're going to take you through the leader maps to maximize your growth as a leader in character and in abilities. That's what we take a look at. Many of these kinds of courses take a look at your skills, you might say. How can we develop your skills or your ability? Well, the biggest problem today in leadership begins at character. If you cannot trust the people that are leading you, you can't trust them to make the best decisions. You can't trust them to really execute well. You can't trust them to account for what's going on in the organization. Those are not skill problems. Those are character problems. If you can't trust the people in charge, it doesn't matter how skillful they are because you don't trust them anyway. What is it costing you and your organization if your people, your employees don't trust you, no matter how good you are? If they don't trust you, they're going to do this. Rich has talked about it already. They're going to leave because you are a toxic leader. Your leadership is toxic because they can't trust you and they won't follow you because you burn them out and you leave them dry. Rich, take a moment on the MLAI. Tell them about the people that have taken this. This is an amazing list.
The MLEI is really called the Matone Leadership Enneagram Inventory. It was developed by John Matone, who is the world's top executive coach again this year. So he's been the top executive coach 4 out of the last 5 years. He's a gentleman that Michael and I work with personally, who taught and master certified both of us to use this MLEI. Right now, we have over 15,000 global leaders in the database in over 150 countries who have used the MLEI to start down their leadership paths. Some of those people include Steve Jobs, who was coached by John Matone, Roger Enrico of PepsiCo, Bill Logue of FedEx, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, and the list goes on. We have
Let me add a couple of them. Let me add a couple more too.
Please do.
Kathy Marzarella, CEO of Graybar.
Yes.
There's also Russ Klein of American Marketing Association. There's Irv Rothman, CEO of HP Financial Services. We can go on and on. Yes. There are some heavy hitters that have taken this. And because they took it, as you're going to explain here with Jobs in just a moment, it has changed the way they've led.
Yeah, it absolutely has. Steve Jobs actually, when he took the MLEI and he went through his coaching with John Matone, he said that if he had taken this MLEI 20 years earlier and truly understand where he needed to develop his own personal leadership styles, Apple would have been a completely different organization. Now, these are things that, or if you look at Apple, we consider them one of the greatest organizations out there. They never have a layoff. They utilize their leaders to develop skills and talents and solutions and everything within their organization to keep pushing them forward. That's what great organizations and that's what great leaders in organizations do. Simply put, they use their people. They understand how to use their people. They understand, where their natural leader talents are, and levels of confidence. The organization is confident that we have great leaders in place. That is critical to the success of any company going forward.
Exactly. And this is just the beginning. The MLAI is just the beginning, because that last point here is that then opens the door up to these leader maps to maximize your growth as a leader and so forth. Let's go and take a look at some of these maps here. Here we've got a total of 9 maps. There are a total of 18 maps altogether. So we're just scratching the surface here. Once we have your MLEI, we have those scores in terms of your talents, in terms of your confidence. We can now start mapping out what are the best leadership strategies for you as an individual. And so knowing that here's the map, here's what it works best for you in these different entry points that Rich has referred to several times now, when we know how they work and the timing of each of these moves, you will either now enhance and maximize your leadership ability, or you will undermine and erode the power that you have as a leader, depending on if you know them and if you use them properly. And it's no more complicated than that. There is no mystery to leadership. It is knowledge. It is how you work. It is the practice and the skills that you employ to get to that point with character and skills to lead in ways that are inspiring, that motivate, and get results. There's no magic to this. It's knowing the information, applying it, and habitualizing it. That's it in a nutshell. We're not doing paint by numbers here. We're not doing Guitar Hero. This is a personal process that you go through to figure out who you are as a leader, habitualize it so that you master it. Any thoughts on that, Rich?
Once you go through this and you talk to us that first time and you start unpacking that MLAI, and we talked to you about some of the first maps during that debrief, you will never look at leadership development again the same way. It is that powerful. And this is a guarantee that we have. We have told people that time and time and time again. We've done several hundred of these. And each time they come back and say, I never knew. I had no clue that this was even there. I had no clue that this is how I function.
It's interesting that those that are fairly self-aware will come back and say, yeah, I see that now. I could never articulate it. I could never describe it to somebody. But now that you've shown it to me, I see what it is that I do. See, that's a raising their level of consciousness about who they are. And now because they can see it, they can articulate it, they can describe it. Now, so for those leaders of you that think you're doing pretty doggone well, and I know there's some listening, but if that's you, this will help you articulate and then fine tune, direct the way you lead. It will truly sharpen your skill. It won't be just like, well, I sharpen my skills. You will be able to say specifically, this is what I did differently. This is how I knew how to do it better. This is what I just put a little finesse on this one, and it made all the difference. That's what we're talking about here. I'm going to just take a moment here. I'm going to just leave this on the deck here. These speak for themselves. We're also going to allow you to, if you want to, we got a whole sheet. We got sheets of paper about people that have taken this course, their quotes. We'll make that available to you. If you contact us, we'll give you a whole bunch of people who've been through this course, and you can read it for yourself. Let's go to the last one, because this is where people are really going to be interested in. What about the ROI? That's the problem here. What am I going to get out of this? What am I going to get it? Well, the ROI on this can be 7 to 20 times what it is your investment is. And we are not kidding you about this. This is exactly what we're talking about. Where will you see that? Let's take a look. Specifics in this. Number one, you're going to retain your talent, especially great talent. Great talent can sniff out poor leadership almost instantly. They know these people don't know what they're doing. They won't hang around for long if they're not getting the results. They're not getting the support they want. You're not giving them the authority that they are gone. Great talent is gone. Also, just generally, you'll keep your employees. You'll retain talent. You'll retain your employees. You'll reduce overtime. You'll reduce absenteeism. You'll reduce accidents and workman's comp. Now, you've dealt with that world a lot what about these kinds of things that cost? They just cost businesses, Rich.
They cost businesses. You're talking about that ROI 7 to 20 times, and this has been proven time and time and time again. Korn Ferry, Harvard Business Review, name it. You can go out there and find information that the ROI on leadership development and executive coaching improves your organization. When we talk about retaining great talent, you got to understand when those people leave your organization, you have lost that value that they also brought to you. You have lost the amount of time you took to train them to get up to speed. That now you have to do that with somebody else. Think about that cost. The average cost to replace an employee right now is 33% of their annual salary. Think about that. And even at the C level, to replace a CEO can be as much as $500,000 or more, just in replacing that person. Retaining employees. How often are your HR people and recruiters out there just struggling to find great employees? It's a challenge now. There's a lot of good companies out there that are really doing it right, that are getting these great employees. And guess what? They're not leaving. They're not. Overtime. I got to tell you, Michael, people do not understand how overtime can truly show you what's going wrong in your organization. If you see the overtime upticking, man, you got to understand that you can have managers that are not trained. You can have people that are milking the clock because they're not trained, or just people just floundering. Your quality is going bad, and you got to compensate by all this overtime. And if you don't understand how bad that impacts your company, then we can show you. Absenteeism. Who wants to go to work with toxic bosses, right? Who wants to go to work with a toxic culture? And accidents and workman's comp. There's nothing out there that's going to hit the bottom line of your company faster than safety issues and workman's comp claims.
Absolutely. Now, you said, I've heard you say this many times, that people don't quit jobs or businesses, they quit bad bosses.
They quit bad bosses. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's take a look at this other list over here. What does a good boss look like in terms of what it is that they bring? Well, number one, there's an increasing sense of company and team morale. People just feel better going to work. Also with that, because they feel good about going to work and they bring that great attitude, there's going to be team productivity that also increases. Because teams are working together, they're getting things done. There's an increase in team cohesion. Guys and gals just get along. They're working together now. Also with that now comes increasing team and company adaptability and momentum. Now they're playing on the same page. They're all working together. They understand each other. They know what their jobs are. They can cross-train and all that kind of stuff. Great stuff starts to happen. And they're now finding and developing emerging leaders. You start seeing the people that are showing up in new and exciting ways, inspiring, making those connections with other people, helping them to feel part of the team, motivating them, and then creating an unbeatable legacy of inspiration in your organization. Reputation matters. You have a poor reputation out there as an organization, it gets around. You have a great reputation as an organization, it gets around even more. So here's what it is you're taking a look at. What have you got to lose? What are you losing now? Look at that first column. What have you got to gain? Look at that column over here on the right side. Where do you want to be? Where do you want your leaders to be? Where do you want your company to be? That's what it is that we can help you with. We can take those leaders. And here's the interesting thing. Let's just talk about this for a moment. Oftentimes, people who go into executive coaching, sadly enough, are not ready for it. We've seen that time and time and time again. This platform, this journey that we've got going on here will get them to a place that they understand what leadership is. They understand themselves, how to get where they want to go. And now you can go in and do that fine tuning with them one-on-one. That's what it is you can do. Now they're really ready to take off because they've got a base from which they operate, not only a base of information, but a base of understanding themselves, their maps. So what do we got here for you? This is what this looks like. It is a 12-week life-changing course for leaders. It is for leaders. It's not for anybody else. This is directly at leaders. It's 12 weeks. The MLEI that we talked about comes along with it, comes along with a 1-hour debrief. We will unpack that thing, and it will make your head spin in terms of just realizing the enormous potential and power you have as a leader that you probably never, ever even expected. Each training session is 2 hours long. Sometimes it goes longer because the discussions are so interesting. They're so in-depth. They're so invigorating. They're so enlightening. People just keep connecting and discuss those. Go 2.5 hours. We provide you the training materials and the workshops that go with. Workshops are different than just the materials because the workshops focus on specific areas of training that you must get done as a leader. And then we have unlimited one-on-one coaching available to you throughout the whole 12 weeks that we do this. All sessions are recorded. The time commitment each day is just 30 minutes. If you want to push it to 40, 45, an hour, that's up to you. But minimum. So going into this, you got to dedicate at least 30 minutes. Rich, open this up a little bit. Tell us the power of this approach.
You are working along with like-minded leaders, all working towards their own personal goal. And you'd be surprised how much information is bounced off and passed off, and network capabilities. We've had everybody from emerging leaders, young entrepreneurs, just starting their own businesses, all the way up to like seasoned CEOs and everywhere in between. And the camaraderie and passing along of information just in that group is phenomenal. Not to mention tools and the training materials and the unlimited one-on-one coaching. Our goal is to see you succeed, no matter what. No matter how long it takes you to understand this or to get up to speed, we're there to help you. Not everybody learns at the same rate. Not everybody does. But the one thing we have found out when you work with a group like this, the ability to learn is enhanced.
Absolutely. And the availability of the one-on-one coaching between each of those sessions is invaluable. And I'll tell you something else, Rich. We want you to succeed, right? We want them to succeed, and we want them to succeed big. If we see that you're struggling, and we also see that you're not reaching out to us, we will reach out to you out of consideration. Just ask the question, what can we do? How can we help you today? Where are you stuck? What's not making sense to you? Let's work through those little knots, those little speed bumps along the way. Let's get things working for you. We are all in this to make this work for you. Any way that we can, we will text, voicemail, Zoom, whatever it is we need to do. We will be there to help you do that. And that 30 minutes a day, if you just do that, that has an aggregate. You probably heard about the 1% compound difference. This is it. This is that 1% compounding effect that takes place in your leadership. Just a little bit each day, day after day after day. And you come out on the other end. And as Rich says, you will never look at yourself. You will never look at leadership the same way. You will never look at others in their leadership positions the same way. You will never look at emerging leaders in the same way. It changes the game all the way from one end to the other. Now, if that's what you're looking for, we got it. We can help you get there. If you're not that person, you think you already got it handled, we can't help you. But if you're looking for a new approach, a new way to get there, to make it happen for you, your team, and your organization, let's talk. We will talk to you, and our fees are based upon where it is you're coming from, your organization. So there's some leeway in what it is that we do and some of the things that we may provide for you, what I call sweeteners. So some things that we can sweeten the deal up for you, for your team. So you got to have it. You really need it. You know you must do something. Let's talk. How can they get a hold of us, Rich?
On this last slide has all our contact information, our websites, our individual websites, phone numbers, email addresses. There's no shortage of ways to get a hold of us to find out about this course.
And you know what? I was going to LinkedIn too.
Absolutely, LinkedIn. That's why I was going to say LinkedIn is a great place to find us. And look us up. Let's start this.
Let's get this going. 2024 is coming up. If you've got to be a better leader Now's the time to start. It starts here so that when 2024 hits and you're into it deep, you've got the tools, you got the habits, you got the knowledge, you got deeper experiences, you got deeper understanding and confidence in who you are. This is the time to make 2024 better by starting in 2023.
The way to get started is just to quit talking and begin doing this. And that was actually a quote from Walt Disney. Here's the thing. Those 12 weeks are going to go by whether you're in our course or not. The question is where do you want to be at the end of that 12 weeks? Do you want to be in the same place you're at now? Or do you want to be further down the path on your own personal development, leadership development, which is going to impact not only yourself, it's going to improve your leadership with your people, your organization, your friends, your family, your community. The list goes on, because leadership is not just made for business. Leadership is global. It's horizontal with anything you do. So that's the most important part about this. Are you ready?
Are you ready to stop thinking about it, talking about it, getting around to it one of these days? And are you ready to get into it, get it done, get it moving, and make it happen? We can help. You have to take a look at this. What's it costing you to stay where you are? What's the possibilities of the payoffs? There it is.
There it is.
Thanks so much, Rich. Let's sign off. What do we always tell the folks?
We're all in this together. So as we realize that leadership is all about the people that you lead and taking care of them and making sure that you leave a legacy behind you that will allow them to become successful as well.
Absolutely. Leaders learn to lead well. Start